Welcome back. All right, so some news of the day for all you fine people on the internet for your Monday. See that? I remember what day of the week it is. August the 19th. So we'll start things off talking about the news out of Nashville. Kevin Weeks reported, and the media's now picked up on this as well. Askarov has reportedly requested a trade. Doesn't want to report to training camp. Doesn't want to go to the AHL this year. Barry Trotz was asked about this. He, of course, being the general manager of the Nashville Predators, and said that he expects him to be at camp and battle for a job. So either Trotz is just being cagey here and he is looking at potentially moving Askarov, or he's being honest here and saying, look, whatever's going on with him, I still expect him to be in camp and to battle for a job. Askarov's been very good at the AHL level, and he's been waiting his turn for a bit. And I would think that with the extension, and this was a rumor at the time, the extension given to Saros kind of told Askarov that if he wanted to have that path to the NHL to become a starting goaltender at the NHL level, you probably have to do that in another organization. So we'll see what happens there. So there's another player that's looking to be moved. It is still summer, but we're starting to get into some hockey discussions here and some movement, aren't we? Speaking of which, it looks like the Oilers are likely to match on Broberg. I think the Broberg contract carries some risk. It's only a couple of years, but for Broberg, he doesn't have a ton of experience at the National Hockey League level. I know he was good in the final, and I know a lot of Oiler fans are kind of hanging their hats on how he looked in the final, but we'll see if it translates for this coming season and whether he's really and truly ready. But at the amount of money that the Blues signed him to, you kind of have to play him a bunch. So we'll see what happens. If they don't make any other trades between now and tomorrow, where the deadline is for them to match or not match, they would have $801,000 in cap space to start the season with Evander Kane on long-term injured reserve. It's not a fantastic position to be in for the Oilers because if you're forced to kind of keep Kane on the LTIR, that takes away some of the advantage you got this summer by picking up some more depth on the wings, right? So we'll see what happens with the Oilers over the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't know that they're necessarily done, but it looks like at this point they have enough cap space to be done and to match on both players. But it looks like of the two, Broberg's the one they're more likely to match the contract offer on. But again, stay tuned. We'll see what ends up happening there. Taylor Hall, who is still a Chicago Blackhawk. It would be easy to forget that because he only played 10 games for Chicago this past season. But he believes he can make a difference this season, and he feels good. He tore his ACL in his right knee last season, so he only played the 10 games. That happened, and then he didn't come back. But he hopes for full medical clearance before the preseason gets started. And in most cases, a player playing preseason games doesn't necessarily make a big difference when it's a veteran. But in this case, since he only played 10 games last year, it may very well be quite important for Hall to get those games in, get the rust off a little bit, and get back into the swing of things. The Chicago Blackhawks are going to be an interesting team to watch this coming season. I'm doing the previews by divisional order, so I've started with the Pacific. I will do the Central next. And so we'll be talking about Chicago over the next week and what their lineup looks like. But having Hall back could be huge if he's 100% and if he's ready to contribute. So sounds like he's got the right attitude here. He, of course, was brought in last summer, too, in part to help out with Connor Bedard's rookie season. But, of course, being injured early in the season didn't help there. So I want to throw this in here, too. I did mention it in the history video this morning. My Patreon page is gone. It looks like my account was completely and totally reset so that it reads my main account as being a member and that I have to create a creator page. So I'm debating about whether I'm going to start fresh in the event that Patreon, who I've contacted, if they get back to me and say, sorry, it's gone, I'm debating about whether to start over on Patreon or whether or not to use a different platform where maybe things are a little bit better. So I'm looking at options right now. I will discuss this, of course, with my lovely wife, Yvonne. But I don't have anything in my inbox. Like, there have been times where I've got emails from Patreon about a post where they've said, hey, this post kind of goes against the rules. For instance, when we did like kind of a sweepstakes thing that we were doing for jerseys and stuff, and they were like, no, you can't do that on here. So we removed it, and nothing else happened. There's been nothing against my page. It doesn't look like anything nefarious took place. It just disappeared. Because it also shows I'm not a member of any pages on Patreon, which is incorrect. I am a member of pages on Patreon. So one request I would throw out there to people is that if you are a member on Patreon of any creator, go on and check your account, because I feel like they made some kind of an update to their website since the Patreon page for this channel is 8 years old. I do wonder if maybe old accounts were were broken in a recent update the Patreon made. That's my guess at this point. And if they're broken like that, in my experience of tech support, which goes back many, many years, it may very well be gone altogether. So we'll see what happens, but let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. All of your support's greatly appreciated, and of course, there are memberships on the channel. I don't advertise the memberships. I don't push the memberships, but I know the memberships do quite well on this channel, and thank you guys so much for that. I haven't made a members video since we got back from California. I was planning on doing so today. This is the first day where it feels like I have that time to be able to do a members video, which is usually a behind the scenes, sort of a more personal video than what you see on the channel. It's not really hockey related. I don't deprive people of, like, you know, actual news content. Not gonna be like, well, if you want to know what's going on, you got to go behind the paywall, which just doesn't do well, and it doesn't reflect well, I don't think, either on me if I were to do something like that. So at any rate, there you go. But thank you guys so much for all your support. It does mean a lot, whether you're supporting the channel through memberships or just through watching videos or just through, you know, watching the ads here and there, not skipping all the ads, that kind of thing, because that is how creators do get paid. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I will talk to you again soon.